So to kick off our movie discussion, let's first talk about kind of the biggest thing, and that is the changes that were made during the translation or the transition from page to screen. So maybe we should just go to each person, and you can talk about, changes that you liked, changes that you hated. And by changes, I mean any scenes that were deleted, any bits of dialogue that were not included, as well as scenes that were added. Adam, I guess you can go first since you do co-host this show.
Well, I think...
Welcome to Kait.
I've been one up by Kait Silva.
Yes, you have. Hi, guys.
You know what, Kait? If you're just going to come in barging like that in the middle of my moment, well, then you're going to have to go first. Sorry.
And we're talking about added scenes?
Yes, we are.
All right, so I get the good one.
Basically, we're talking about changes that were made, changes and differences between the book and the film. So you can talk about any changes that you liked, anything that you particularly disliked, whatever you want.
Have we already covered Seneca Crane's death or his...
We have not covered anything.
All right, well, that is a fantastic place to start because I thought that was so clever, and I love that so much. It was almost twistedly humorous in the way that they present how he actually died, which is something they just don't talk about in the book. So that was fabulous.
Yeah, I'm just going to butt in for a second because I spent so much time, I didn't spend a lot of time, but I made it very clear after I saw the film at the world premiere. I mentioned on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere that my favorite scene in the movie was a scene that is not in any of the books. And I can finally say that is the scene that I was talking about. That is definitely my favorite scene in the film. I think it was a brilliant addition, and I just think it's amazing. And the fact that my favorite scene is a scene that isn't in the books, I mean, that speaks volumes, I think, about just how well they adapted this book to film. Okay, Adam, do you want to have your moment now?
Well, Kait talked about the berries. I just think a lot of the lines that were in the movie that maybe weren't necessarily in the book were fantastic. There were so many great interactions where I was cracking up, and then also moments of extreme seriousness that really cut deep into the heart. And I really, I don't think it's fair for me to go through enlisting scenes because there are just so many, and I really don't want to take away from the chance of other people on the show. I'd rather let me go last because I want to let everyone else have a chance to really rave about these scenes. And I've been talking about it all day. It's only fair. So, Savanna, who do you think we should let open up the floor with here, and let's let people just gush. This is your chance to say what you loved, why this movie was so great. Be excited, be animated, and because I think everybody on the show loved the movie. Is there anyone here who didn't? I don't think there is. So, and I know there's some fans who had a few complaints, but for the most part, I think everybody was pretty satisfied. So what do you think, Savanna? How about doing that?
I was just going to say, but before we do that, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
As far as added bits of dialogue, was your favorite added bit of dialogue the line that Effie says on the train?
It is. It's definitely up there. That is mahogany. I've been saying that about 5 bajillion times. I've been saying it in completely inappropriate situations, and yet so many people have seen the movie The Hunger Games that they're actually getting it. That's the best part about it. As opposed to not want it. I've also said manners a bunch of times. I've said to people on multiple occasions, nice dress, no, not you, to somebody else. And loosen up your corset and have a drink. So I'm all about this Effie Haymitch dynamic. Sorry, Mary, but I actually think Effie might have a thing for your man Haymitch. That's my take after seeing this movie. Okay.
I think that we should start with Sam, and I say this because Sam was out in L.A. with all of us, but he did not get to see the movie at the premiere. So he had to listen to all of us talking about it when we got home that night. So I would love to hear Sam's thoughts first.
Okay. Well, I thought the movie was absolutely brilliant. I didn't have very many complaints, maybe one, and to be honest, I don't even remember what it is at this point. But my favorite scenes had to be the Rose Garden scenes. Just they were so cool, and I remember turning my wife right in the middle of it because she still got the books, and I was like, that wasn't in the books, but that is awesome. So that was definitely my favorite change. And I mean, overall, I think they stuck to the books so well that it's hard to, even if you do find something wrong with it, it's hard to dislike it. Again, I don't think I've even heard anyone tell me that they disliked it. I just thought it was so great.
Yeah.
You've rendered us all speechless. What about you?
I thought it was my phone. I thought my phone went out again. Otherwise, I was going to say something. No, Sam, I'm so glad you got to see it. I'm so glad you got to see the movie. I was almost more excited for you seeing it at midnight than I was for myself, because you would have to be subjected to so many of us talking about it and had missed out. Do you feel caught up now and you're finally on par with everyone else who kept raving and you didn't get to have seen it yet?
Yeah, I definitely feel caught up.
Great.
You know what I think we should do, Adam, and this is slightly off topic, but we should, when the and I don't know if this is legal or not, so maybe someone can advise us, but once the DVD comes out, I think it would be awesome if we added a bunch of sound bites from the movie into our soundboard. They do this on radio shows and stuff all the time, so like we could have pre-prepared here, like Effie saying, "That's mahogany," and we could just play it, at random moments. I think that would be really fantastic.
I think so too. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
So, listeners, let us know if you know anything about copyright law or intellectual property law. Is that legal? Okay, Shylah, what about you?
For me, the biggest triumph of this movie was that Gary Ross really relied on the intelligence of the audience and showed, not told, I guess, a lot of things. I saw some complaints about people saying things like, Katniss and Peeta's relationship with each other wasn't explicit, that it was hard to tell, that she was disguising her feelings. But I think that the way he shot it was so that Katniss didn't have to explain those things for us. The moment for me, and I tumbled about this a couple days ago, was that scene at the end with the Nightlock where Peeta reaches out and touches her braid. And I thought that was so explicit of what their relationship was at that point, that, they're seconds away from death, and that for Peeta, this whole thing is real, and he's just so focused on Katniss and spending those last few moments of his life appreciating the girl he's always loved, while Katniss is looking off in the direction of one of the invisible cameras, and her focus is on the Capitol and, trying to calculate whether this plan that she's put into action is going to be enough to save both of them. The only thing on her mind in regard to Peeta is whether or not she's going to be able to save his life. And I think that the fact that Gary Ross trusts the audience to pick up on things like that, instead of having Katniss explicitly say, I'm not in love with you, or, at the end that, the boy with the bread was slipping away from me, watching them act it out for me was more powerful than having to listen to them explain that to the audience. So I really enjoyed that part of the movie.